House. And we are honored to have you here for this administration's first Jewish American Heritage Month reception. Every morning as the sun illuminates the eastern shores of the United States, the Statue of Liberty glows with welcome for the new day. It's a beacon of friendship, of possibility, of freedom that lives in our hearts as well. And emblazoned on its face are the words of Emma Lazarus. Quote, you probably all know this. Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free. I lift my lamp beside the golden door. It's a declaration that Jewish Americans, your wisdom, your hope, your light, and your love are a part of this country's foundation and its future. That history lives on in all of you, and as you share it, the world becomes stronger and more beautiful. When you fight for your community and stand against injustice, following the legacy of this freedom and the freedom fighters who came before, when you share memories of your parents and grandparents, each story coming to life with more details than a picture could ever convey. When you make your favorite recipe with exacting care, savoring the taste of traditions passed from mother to daughter, father to son. And as you forge your futures, these legacies guide your path with meaning and love, creating something new and bold and bright. History lives inside the White House too, hammered into the beams of these walls and swirling in the marble of each fireplace. It tells the stories of where we've come from and who we've been. And yet, looking around today, we know that it too can grow and evolve and begin something new. With our unique traditions and talents, with our love and our laughter, with our faith in the future we want, we breathe new life into these halls. This is an historic house, but you make it home. Alive with purpose and possibility. Today, let us remember the past with wisdom and turn toward the future with joy. Let us continue honoring the people who helped get us here. And together, we will shape this country we call home, meeting each new day with faith, hope, and hard work. Thank you. And now we have a special performance by the stars of Parade on Broadway, Ben Platt and Michaela Diamond. Parade tells the story of Leo Frank, who at 31 years old was wrongfully convicted of murder, kidnapped, and lynched because he was Jewish. We are proud to bring his story to the biggest stage we could, the White House.
Distinguished guests, please remain in your seats as we transition to the stage for tonight's performance. Thank you. Distinguished guests, please welcome the stars of Broadway's critically acclaimed musical Parade, Tony nominees Ben Platt and Michaela Diamond, accompanied by the sales composer, Jason Robert Brown.
Thank you very much for having us. We're honored to be here. As the First Lady mentioned, I play a character in Parade by the name of Leo Frank, written by the amazing Jason Robert Brown. And Leo is wrongfully convicted of a murder largely due to anti-Semitism. And the first song we're going to sing is from our show Parade. And it comes at a moment where, with the help of his wife Lucille Frank, Leo finds out that the governor of Georgia has agreed to re-examine his case. So it is one of the moments of real hope in the show. It's called This Is Not Over Yet. It means cancel all your parties, forget your big parade. It means the crowds will not be cheering, so despite what you've been hearing, you can lay down your spade. It means my mother can stop crying, my rabbi's eulogy can wait. It means the Dorsey can stop beaming, and my cousin can stop dreaming of his portion of my estate. It means, no, this isn't over. No, the date's not set. No, I won't wake up tomorrow drowning in my sweat. It means I've got the greatest partner any man can get. It means I'll never, ever, ever underestimate that woman, 'cause this is not over yet. Tell my uncle not to worry, tell the reaper not to hurry, make the hangman stop his drumming, 'cause I'm coming into town to win the day. Somehow I haven't with my scheming screwed things up beyond redeeming, and we're finally on our way. And no, this isn't over. Hell, it's just begun. Hail the resurrection of the South's least favorite son. It means I'm in a vow for better. Two is better than one. It means the journey ahead might get shorter. I might reach the end of my road, but suddenly loud as a mortar, there is hope. Finally hope. No, this isn't over. No, we are through. No, it's the things I see in you. It means a man who isn't guilty doesn't have to walk the plank. It means the gallows still are vacant, and we've got my wife to thank. It means you shouldn't underestimate Lucille and Leo Frank, 'cause this is not over yet.
This next song is towards the end of the show, and they're kind of at the height of their trauma, and Leo and Lucille finally see one another and feel their kind of love for each other. And when speaking is no longer enough, they sing this song.
I will never understand what I did to deserve you, or how to be the man that I I'm supposed to be. I will never understand if I live 1,000 lifetimes why you did the things you did for me. Just look at you. How could I not be in love with you? What kind of fool could have taken you for granted for so long? All the wasted time, all the million hours pushing you away, building up my wall. And I never knew anything at all. I never knew anything at all.
I will never understand how all the world misjudged you, when I have always known how lucky I must be. I will never understand how I kept from going crazy, just waiting there till you came home to me. Now look at me, now that you're finally here with me. Now that I know I was right to wait, and everyone else was so wrong for so long. All the wasted time, all the million hours, years on top of years, still too proud to cry. To feel that I don't satisfy, and I never knew anything at all. I never knew anything at all. Wasted time, leads to high touch, roots too strong to fall. All the days gone by to never show I loved you so, and I never knew anything at all.
I never knew anything at Thank you so much. Our last song is now from Parade, but before I tell you about that, I just want to thank Jason one more time, who gave us such an amazing piece of music. Just really telling a really important Jewish story in an unimaginably beautiful way. So I'm just grateful to be in the show. I know Michaela feels the same. This last song is by another Jewish composer that I'm sure you all know, Stephen Sondheim. And so much about heritage is about tradition and what we decide to pass on and teach our children and our next generation. So with that in mind, here's our final song. Thank you for having us. We're really honored to be here. How do you say to your child in the night, nothing's all black, but then nothing's all white? How do you say it'll all be alright when you know that it mightn't be true? What do you do? path they take, wishes come true. Not for me. Careful the spell you cast, not just on children. Sometimes the spell may last past what you can see and turn against you. Careful the tale you tell, that is the spell. Children will listen.
Sharing really your passion and really a piece of history with us. So I appreciate your coming. We all love that you were here. Thank you so much. And now you have to run and go back to New York, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
8 o'clock show.
Amazing. Well, thank you. I love how he offered her some of his water when he was up here. We're good? Okay, because I didn't know whether I had to do my own performance myself. But apparently Joe made it, so there's a little bit going on today. So I guess is the voice of God going to announce him out? Yes. I'm done.
You want me to duck?
No, you're fine. Maybe duck down a little bit. Just.
How about this? All right, you're fine. The hair's not too bad. You got it.
I'm only doing this much.
Jill Biden. My wife, Kamala Harris, the Vice President. And all of our esteemed guests, it is so great to join you for a Jewish American Heritage Month celebration at the White House. We have come together to celebrate our heritage and honor the achievements of Jewish Americans throughout history. And that history goes all the way back to our founding, when Jewish American patriots fought to help secure independence, and later helped save our union during the Civil War, and have fought so valiantly in all subsequent wars. And throughout the eras, there have been outstanding Jewish Americans who have achieved so much in their fields. Legendary activists, artists, entertainers, athletes, business people, those in politics, and so many more. And we especially pay tribute to all of those who struggled, persevered, and who fought for equality, for justice, for fairness, so that all of us could be here today. And I look around this room, I see a lot of friends, but I also see so many leaders that are continuing this fight for justice, for equality. I see educators, my fellow lawyers, artists, chefs, community leaders, advocates, leaders in our military, leaders in our government, Jewish Americans achieving at the highest levels of success. And how proud our ancestors would be. See us all here today, after many fled persecution, including my own ancestors, to live their dreams in the United States of America. And that is what makes America special. That is the promise of America. It's a place where everyone can live freely and proudly as they are. And now it's up to us in our time, right now, to build on that legacy. Because right now, we are experiencing a marked rise in anti-Semitism, not only in our country, but throughout the world. And it's unfortunately part of an overall epidemic of hate. But I know that I'm doing everything I can to fight back. Fighting lies with truth. Educating others about the truth of the Holocaust and who we are as Jews, and building coalitions, because we can't do this alone, and allyship with people of different faiths and backgrounds, because we all need to be in this fight together so we can all live openly and proudly and without fear. There's no one who is fighting harder to push back against hatred and bigotry and to unite our country than President Biden and Vice President Harris. My wife, the Vice President, encouraged me. She did. She encouraged me to lean into this fight. And she told me, Dougie, but she said, this issue found you, now lean into it. And right before I left for my trip to Poland and Germany, in part to recognize International Holocaust Remembrance Day, this man right here, President Biden, pulled me into the Oval Office. And he told me how important the fight against anti-Semitism was to him. And Mr. President, I'll never forget how you shared your personal memories and stories with me about how you visited Dachau concentration camp, how important it was to go with your own children and grandchildren. And you told me about your father, how he felt, the anger he had about what was going on, and how the Allies had not bombed the train tracks leading to the concentration camps. So I took that with me to Europe, and I'll be forever grateful. And I'm so grateful that we have a president and a vice president who are tireless advocates for our Jewish community. both as they combat hatred, but also as they celebrate our heritage. So please join me in welcoming the President of the United States, Joe Biden.
Joe Biden, I'm Joe Biden's husband. And I look around this room, and as they say in Southern Delaware, there's a lot of you who brought me to the dance, man. I'm serious. Thank you all for all you do every day, not just fighting anti-Semitism, but being engaged in your country's business. Before I begin, I just finished because the press will want to hear this before they hear me say anything, just to keep them quiet for me. I'm only kidding. But is that we just finished another good, productive meeting with our congressional leadership about a path forward to make sure that America does not default on its debt for the first time. There's still work to do, but I made it clear to the speaker and others that we'll speak regularly over the next several days, and the staff's going to continue meeting daily to make sure we do not default. I'm scheduled to travel tomorrow to the G7 summit in Japan, and America's role in the world is vital, especially right now as we work together with other countries to support Ukraine and take on all the challenges that demand international cooperation, from tackling climate change to strengthening the global economy. And the nature of the presidency is addressing many of the critical matters all at once, so I'm confident we're going to continue to make progress toward avoiding default and fulfilling America's responsibility as a leader on the world stage. However, I'm cutting my trip short. I'm postponing the Australia portion of the trip and my stop in Papua New Guinea in order to be back for the final negotiations with congressional leaders. And I spoke today with Prime Minister Albanese of Australia and a short time ago and let him know what was going on. There was an overwhelming consensus, I think, in today's meeting with the congressional leaders that defaulting on the debt is simply not an option. Our economy would fall into recession. It would devastate retirement accounts, increase borrowing costs, and according to Moody's, nearly 8 million Americans would lose their jobs and their international reputation would be damaged in the extreme if we were to let that happen. It's disappointing that our discussions in the congressional Republicans have not been willing to discuss raising revenues, but the policy differences between the parties should not stop Congress from avoiding default. I made clear again today's meeting that default is not an option. America pays its debts, pays its bills, and there will be plenty of time to debate the policy differences. But the country we've never defaulted on our debt, and we never will. Now, for the reasons why we're here this evening. Thank you, Doug. Thank you very much. It's always an honor to be introduced by the first ever Jewish spouse of an American vice president. Tom was here as well. She was at these meetings with me as well. And it's always great to be with Representative Debbie Wasserman-Schultz-Berry, who many call the mother of the Jewish American Heritage Month. You're too young, Mom. For working for nearly 2 decades to make it a reality. And I also want to thank our special guest, Michelle, who ensured that today is both delicious and glad kosher. I don't know where the chef is. There you are. Well, stand up, man. And I'm honored he's on my council on sports, fitness, and nutrition, so I know it's going to be good. And finally, I want to thank all of you for joining us as we celebrate Jewish Americans whose values, culture, and contributions have shaped who we are as a nation, and that's not hyperbole. Over generations, the story of resilience, hope, faith of the Jewish people, and the adversity, prejudice, and persecution, and the promise of a better tomorrow has inspired people everywhere around the world. Back in 1600, even before the founding of the American small band of 23 Jews, Jewish refugees fleeing persecution abroad, sailed to the port of modern-day New York City. They came seeking religious freedom, helping define one of the bedrock principles on which this nation was built. And in the years since, Jewish artists, entertainers, and poets like Emma Lazarus, who Jill mentioned, helped us define America's vision of liberty for millions of people who came to our shores. Jewish suffragettes and advocates who fought for women's rights, voting rights, workers' rights. Jewish activists who marched, petitioned, and boarded buses to demand civil rights for all. Jewish scientists, doctors, and who led the scientific breakthroughs in science and medicine. And across the public service, Jewish Americans have proudly served the nation in uniform, in elected office, in embassies, in civil service, in our nation's highest courts. And fearless American journalists like Evan, who are being held, the Wall Street Journal being held in the shed because he shed some light on the darkness in Russia. My administration working every day for Evan's release, along with Paul Whelan, who's also been wrongfully detained in Russia. We also know the contributions of Jewish Americans are shadowed by a long and painful history of the oldest and most sinister forces, hate and anti-Semitism. Like the story of Leo Frank you just heard from our performers on Broadway in the show, Parade. I thank them for telling the truth about what happened, so we cannot be buried or erased. It matters that the truth be made public. My dad first taught me about the horrors of the Shoah at our family dinner table. Our dinner table is a place you got together to have conversation and incidentally eat. And my dad talked about how outraged he was about why we didn't bomb the railroad tracks into the concentration camps, why we didn't let the ship in with the Jews, just go on and on. And he talked about the need to make sure every generation understood. And since then, I've taken my children, every child when they turned 14, I put them on a plane the first trip they've ever taken abroad. We fly directly to Dachau because I want them to see. I want them to see how no one can pretend they didn't know. How you walk through that gate, and all my colleagues are through that gate. Walk through that gate, you see along the fence line of the entire area, beautiful homes with beautiful roofs and windows. I mean, and the idea they didn't know what was going on there is just bizarre, And so I wanted them to bear witness to the perils of indifference. I was reminded of the importance of that remembrance when I visited Israel again last year. I've been there many, many times, where I met 2 Holocaust survivors at Yad Vashem. And there I reaffirmed America's unshakable commitment to Israel's security and its right to exist as an independent Jewish state. A commitment I reaffirm today as rockets are launched indiscriminately into Israel from the terrorists in Gaza, forcing terrified families to hide with their children in bunkers to seek safety. My support for Israel's security remains long-standing and unwavering, including the right of Israel to defend itself against attacks. And I'm proud. I'm proud of our support of my colleagues that are here today as well for Israel's Iron Dome, which has intercepted thousands of rockets and saved countless lives. But sadly, security for the Jewish people isn't just an issue abroad. I decided to run in 2017 when Jill and I were deciding we weren't going to run. We just lost our son. We weren't going to get back in. Guys, I was a professor at the University of Pennsylvania. We weren't going to run. We turned on the television. You'll all remember the night. You saw those people walking out of the fields in Charlottesville, carrying torches, Nazi insignias, and literally singing chanting the same anti-Semitic bile that was heard all through Germany in the early 30s. And a young woman, I got to talk to her mom, An innocent bystander was killed. She was killed by that mob. And what did we hear when asked? We heard, quote, there were very fine people on both sides. That was the response we got when asked about what the person thought. That's when I knew we had to stay engaged in the work of our time. Hate never goes away. I came out of the civil rights movement. I used to think you could defeat it. You defeat hate, wipe it out. But you can't. It just hides under the rocks until someone breathes oxygen under those rocks. And it comes roaring back out. In the past several years, we've been given too much oxygen. You know, the reports have shown that anti-Semitic incidents are at a record high. This is hard to believe, at a record high in our history, a record high in the United States of America. Violent attacks on synagogues and Jewish businesses, Jewish institutions under armed guards, Jews wearing religious attire beaten on the street, Jewish students harassed and excluded on college campuses, swastikas on cars and cemeteries and in schools, anti-Semitic flyers in driveways and banners on bridges, anti-Semitic conspiracy theories rampant online. It's unconscionable. It's almost unbelievable. It's despicable. These acts are a threat to other minority communities as well. But more importantly, it's just literally a stain on the soul of America. We have to be clear. That expression is true. Silence is complicity. Silence is complicity. You can't remain silent. I will not remain silent, nor will any of you. Under my presidency, we're going to continue to condemn and combat anti-Semitism at every turn. That's why I signed the bipartisan COVID-19 Hate Crimes Act to help law enforcement better address these hate crimes. Appointed America's first ambassador-level special envoy to monitor and combat anti-Semitism, Deborah. Is Deborah here? Deborah Lipton. Thank you. She's worked closely with the second gentleman who is leading voice on this issue as well. I convened the first of its kind White House Summit on combating hate-fueled violence. And the Department of Justice and the Attorney General is here has made prosecuting hate crimes a top priority. And the Attorney General is going to stick with that as long as he's there. We're also helped secure the largest increase in federal funding ever for the physical security of nonprofits, including synagogues, Jewish community centers, Jewish day schools. Because nobody should have to fear going to a religious school or in a school or walking down a street with symbols of your faith. But that's not all. We'll soon be releasing the first ever U.S. national strategy to counter anti-Semitism. This strategy reflects input from over 1,000 Jewish community members and other stakeholders, including Jews from diverse backgrounds and all denominations. It also includes members of Congress, businesses and civil society leaders, state and local officials, and so many more. Many of you are in this room, and I want to thank you for your partnership. All of you are involved in this. Stand up. Come on. Come on. You're being too humble. It matters. The most ambitious, comprehensive effort in our history to combat anti-Semitism in America. This strategy includes over 100 meaningful actions that government agencies are going to take to counter anti-Semitism. It also includes calls to action for Congress, state and local governments, technology and other companies, civil society, faith leaders to counter anti-Semitism. My strategy consists of 4 key pillars. First, we must increase awareness and understanding of both anti-Semitism and Jewish American heritage. Second, we have to improve safety and security of Jewish communities. Thirdly, we must reverse the normalization of anti-Semitism and address anti-Semitic discrimination now and louder. And finally, we must continue to build coalitions all across communities to fight the hate. You know, as we work together to implement this report, we're sending a clear and forceful message. In America, evil will not win. Hate will not prevail. The venom and violence of anti-Semitism will not be the story of our time. Let me close with this. We're the only country in the world founded on an idea, not on geography, not on religion, not on ethnicity, but an idea. A sacred proposition rooted in faith and enshrined in the Declaration of Independence, that we're all created equal in the image of God and deserve to be treated equally throughout our lives. We have never fully lived up to that idea, but we have never walked away from it, even though we have leaders who try to get us to walk away from it. This is the work of our democracy. In a literal sense, it's the work of our democracy. The Talmud says, quote, "It's not your duty to finish the work, but neither are you at liberty to neglect it." You know, the American story depends not on any one of us, not on some of us, but on all of us. And that's the American story. It's been written in part by Jewish Americans who have turned their pain and purpose into bringing us closer to realizing the promise for all Americans. That was the message when we hosted the first Jewish high holiday reception ever in the White House. It was our message on Hanukkah when we lit the first permanent White House menorah, which is the first Jewish artifact in the entire White House collection. And that's our message today with Jewish American Heritage Month. Celebrating and connecting, feeling the pride and heritage and community, remembering we are the United States of America. There's nothing beyond our capacity if we do it together. I believe that from the bottom of my heart. And the reason I'm so optimistic, this new generation of young people, the best educated, least prejudiced, most engaged generation in American history, we're counting on them. We got to help them. We got to help them get this right, finally. God bless you all, and may God bless America. Thank you.